With 10 days to go, last night was the highly anticipated mano a mano head boy and equally wealthy, privileged, backgrounded person jockeying for the seat of leader of the Conservative Party and, subsequently, Prime Minister, in the form of an ITV debate. There was a hashtag ITV debate, it is in the title of this video or just above it. It was interesting, and there were a number of articles that covered it. I'm going to focus on a few key points. I could talk about the people's vote thing that was floating about. Perhaps I'll just show a clip of one of the videos now.
We demand a people's vote. We demand a people's vote. We demand a people's vote. We demand
I'm here because the Tory membership are voting for their which is fine, but that leader is then going to effectively define what Brexit is going to be in the future, and that is something the whole house haven't said, and that's why I'm here.
Got to love Femi. He believes over 90% want a people's vote. Doubt. For this, what we're going to do, we're going to take a few of the comments each of the people said during this debate, and we're going to fact check it. So the first comment made by Boris Johnson: it can be done by October 31st. If it's not ready by October 31st, then we do it in the implementation period. This was on the subject of the Irish border. To be honest though, the only way you get an implementation period is if you pass the withdrawal agreement, which, while it was getting closer and closer to being passed in Parliament, it took 3 attempts to get close enough. Boris, being a leaver, would present something else, and I don't believe he commands a majority either. The only way you do that is by having a majority government and having them in unison, but the Conservatives are equally, much like Labour, and I'll talk about them tomorrow, divided on the subject of how best to implement Brexit, soft and hard being the two realistic options. The third, the SNP option, not at all. Jeremy Hunt had said there was ways of avoiding checks at the Irish border, including this new technology that people keep touting. Theresa May herself has said it, so has Dominic Raab. Senior EU official Sabine Wayand kind of shut that down by saying, we looked at every border on this earth, every border the EU has with a third country. There is simply no way you can do away with checks and controls. So again, the new technology thing, it's a buzzword at best. And this kind of rhetoric was echoed by Boris, but I don't believe he actually meant it. Hunt believing that inspection should be allowed to take place using mobile units away from the border, like a neutral zone, how very Federation. The next subject to talk about is Article 24, which makes up a part of the General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs, or GATT, as a possible solution for what many believe to be the main problems of a no-deal Brexit. Boris Johnson has said that it would allow the UK to continue to trade with the EU without tariffs or taxes on export, while a permanent future trade deal was being negotiated. Jeremy Hunt said you could only get that agreement to waive tariffs if the other side agrees, and they have made absolutely clear they won't. Therefore, Article 24 is just utterly redundant. Hunt is actually correct on this. The next thing worth addressing is the £39 billion divorce deal, which has actually been rejected by the UK Parliament anyway. This is, as many believe, to be a part of Theresa May's withdrawal deal. So, yeah, it was rejected. No one's going to pay that. We do have some commitments that we should, of course, maintain as part of our membership for as long as we are members. I don't believe 39 billion is a fair divorce bill. Not paying this bill leads to a legal challenge, and this could in turn also damage relationships when it comes to talking about trade in the future. It is worth noting the EU has outright said there will not be any talks on a future relationship until the agreement over the money has been settled, along with the Irish border and EU citizens' right. Therefore, the 39 billion thing, it's a bit iffy. Then we go to hospitals and jobs. Now this one's interesting because Jeremy Hunt is the last person to be bragging about hospital jobs after he absolutely got annihilated by the junior doctors. He was questioned on the record of good and outstanding hospitals, and he said, by the end of my time as health secretary, we nearly had 3 million more patients in good or outstanding hospitals. Actually, it was closer to 2.7 million, but there was a 1.6 million increase in total hospital admissions. so some of the rise was down to there being more patients and not more good hospitals. Therefore, it is not entirely true. His next claim was that he created 1,000 jobs a day for every single day he's been in office, which is something he can be very proud of. He is actually correct, it's 1,100. It does show how employment has risen, but it doesn't show how jobs have been created. So I do think perhaps it's a little dishonest to brag about something that happened more natural, as opposed to something that it required a bit more effort. But whatever, weird flex, do whatever. All in all, after watching the debate back, I couldn't really pick a winner. It felt like a rather weak pissing contest between a head boy and an Etonian, two incredibly wealthy, very snobbish blokes. Many people want Boris Johnson to win, and that's fine. Given that he's up against Jeremy Hunt, it's very hard to believe he'll lose. But we have 10 days. Honestly, Boris could open his mouth between now and then and utterly destroy whatever chance he has of winning. I think somebody who summed this up best, this particular contest, was Jonathan Pye. I'll link his video down below. It is incredibly funny. I do think the remark he made about right-wing is a bit silly, because you either get right-wing or left-wing, and left-wing doesn't always mean correct. But that was the straw man he set up with some of the attacks he made. Doesn't matter, still a very funny video.